All right, welcome all to Plan Stage Weekly, January 28th, 2021. Don't have the agenda up, but I think it's Julian first.
Yeah, so let me just kick it off then.
Jake has an announcement first, I think.
Yeah, I have one team update thing. So as you probably know, this Friday is Mario de la Osa's last day, unfortunately. But we do have some good news, which is that on Monday, Mario Sebastian Celi Calderon joins us. So we're trading one Mario for another, who's a new hire joining us as a backend engineer, which was great that we were able to line up the backfill to start right away. So really excited about that, and hopefully y'all can welcome him over the course of the next few weeks. So yeah, it's really exciting, and I think he'll be a really great addition to the team. So now on to you, Julian.
Thanks.
Where is Mario?
He's in Ecuador.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's like a few hours behind, like between you and I, Donald, I guess, in terms of time zone.
That's exciting.
So we've added the new AKA swim lane sidebar to the group boards. So those are actually, let me just bring up GitLab org. Yeah, it's populated with epics and issues, so it's better.
Your GDK is so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the new swim lane sidebar. So you can change your epics. And then iteration, awesome iteration to no iteration, and fun iteration. You can also change the name of the issue. It works in epic swim lanes as before. Yeah, so it's behind the feature flag now, GraphQL board lists. Yeah, any questions?
That's cool. Do we have plans for editing title inline? Like click on the card to edit it, or we want to keep all the editing in the sidebar?
That thought occurred to me, but wouldn't he have like many components that are unnecessarily loaded all the time when we have like many issues? Because sidebar is just one component. We click on the issue and then the sidebar opens, and that's just one edit component. But if we have that inside, like, you know, every card.
I don't think it's rendered when you're actually editing it though. Similarly to the
true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We'll see. I think there was an issue discussing that somewhere.
Yes, yeah, there was one. Yeah.
The issue I can see with that is that there's a lot of actionable things on cards already. Like you can click on the label, which adds it to the filter. When you click outside the labels, it opens the sidebar, and you can, when you click and you maintain, you can drag and drop. Like if you add another click event to the card, like it adds more and more complexity. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a bad idea in terms of feature, but like cards are starting to be a little bit
do lots of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Yeah, so the issue you're talking about, Simon, is the issue that this was the first iteration for. But there is definitely still a lot of back and forth with UX. Gabe is pretty active in that issue around editing it inline, and I'll link to the issue in our agenda. But so I think, yeah, I mean, there's lots of directions that we want to look into as far as editing, either editing inline, making the sidebar be more of, look like more of a complete issue. As
more like the full issue thing.
Yeah. So there's lots of directions we can go there.
This is great though. I'm going to enjoy it. I like editing titles.
Editing titles is already available on swim lanes. But now with the new sidebar in Boards Refactor, you'll be able to edit all the titles.
Yeah, I mainly just use the plain Simon board that doesn't have swim lanes. It has fewer cards, but I do need to edit my titles. Anyway, thanks, Julian. Flory.
Oh no, the work was really minimal, by the way. So like your work. So the one more item, we're missing a bunch of feature specs for the new sidebar. So I'll pick up Epic the feature spec for the Epic and iteration. If you have free time or capacity, please do feel free to grab one or two from the list.
Yeah, on that note, there is a lot of aspect tests for the old sidebar, and all those tests are failing when we turn on the feature flag on project boards. I guess ideally we'd have all the equivalent for the new sidebar before that's happening, but also we can consider turning off the feature flag for all those sidebar tests, like from the old sidebar, and then build up the test for the new sidebar so that we can release on project boards. But yeah, there's a few things that need to happen for sidebar tests for sure.
So the problem right now is that the feature flag is defaulted to on for the tests, but that causes the test to fail.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, when we turn it on for projects, so project boards have more test coverage than group boards. So currently the feature flag is on group boards, which is not causing issues because the test coverage is not as important. And when we turn it on project boards, then we have like extra tests failing because the feature flag is on by default in those feature tests. Yep.
So just to add on to that, I also noticed that the test coverage for group boards is somewhat abysmal. So
yep, that's why it works for us right now.
Starting from that, yeah, going forward.
Going forward, we may want to just make the tests for project boards, make them shared examples and run them both on group and project boards. Yeah, right now, it plays in our favor because it let us have the feature flag on group boards while we deal with everything, and then we can fix it before we turn it on projects. But yeah, there's probably some things that can be improved there for the future.
It was good, but now we're at the point where we want to turn it on for groups. So
yeah. So
we're past the.
It's just probably a matter of turning most of those tests to shared examples and just run them both in groups and projects. It's probably just shuffling around the structure of the tests to get it to work. Yeah. And if there's no more talks about aspect tests, I'll just demo what I've been working on for Epic boards. It should be the one. Can you see my GitLab org group?
Yep.
Cool. So that's not much. It's not as exciting as a sidebar. It's just a link that does literally nothing at the moment. So under Epics, we now have boards, and it does literally nothing. It's just a blank page. And there's a few things happening there. Like currently this only, if you've been visiting issue boards, this only works when you're logged out. Because if you have a recent issue boards, it redirects to issue boards if you're logged in and you have a recent issue board. But that will be fixed. Like there's a lot of backend work happening for Epic boards at the moment. But yeah, that's just like the very first front end step towards Epic boards.
Nice start.
They have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of discussions on just the URL and the plans for boards in the future. So while a blank page may seem like a small thing. There's a lot involved.
It took a lot of talk and effort to get to that point, actually, even though it's a really small.
I consider it a win
thing.
having epic boards in the URL.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I agree.
I
agree, because I tried doing the thing with the same base URL as issue boards with the parameter, and it was causing so many issues. So now we just have a specific URL for epic boards, and yeah, next step is start displaying stuff in there. That's it.
Cool. Simon, last minute addition.
Yeah, I just snuck in there with adding new boards. Get out of there, break timer. This we can ignore. Group by being broken. I'll sort that out. But we've just added this little friend over to the right, and you can then add columns there and icons everywhere. I can't click the add button. Just add highlight. I've got like a little floating window that I can't move there. There we go. And then we add a board.
I love this. Sorry. I love this change, really. Like, it's so much more usable, that drop down that we used to have. By the way, to fix that alignment, you just have to yarn install and you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's from the GitLab utils change.
Yeah, it's from GitLab UI. So if you yarn install, it will go away.
Cool. Thank you.
When you clicked create list, does it automatically scroll horizontally to the new,
to the column? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So it just adds this to the right of closed and then scrolls across. And then if you try to add an existing one, like if we re-add Yukon here, then it just scrolls you back over to the existing one and highlights it.
Very nice.
It's a much better experience than the current one. I like it.
Of just, like clicking the items in the drop down and then stuff happens. And
it's so much more flexible because we don't have to keep on adding tabs to the drop down.
Yes, that was already looking a bit full. So we're just going to add a little drop down here. I've just done labels for now, which is the FOSS version. And then EE, we add a select box here that gives you labels or assignee or milestone or whatever. And then it changes the contents of this form. And yeah, and it's also in epic lists. I need to fix these scroll bars, but it just sits over on the right. This one doesn't auto scroll yet because it looks a little different. But other than that, it behaves the same and it just sits there. And that concludes the new list demo.
So sorry, Simon, that's all that you said. That's always going to sit on the right of the closed, or the furthest right is always going to be there.
Currently, yes. That's where it is added currently.
Okay.
There's been some discussion of adding it to the left of closed. But wait, did you mean, is this always going to be visible, or is it always going to be on the right of closed?
Always visible.
No. If you cancel it, then it disappears. And there's just the closed thing. We may add some kind of permanent little expandable column or something there. Like is fairly common, but at the moment, then it's just, there's nothing there until you click create list and then it adds it.
Gotcha.
Alexis, you're just in time.
What is up?
We're just talking about this little add list and if it should go to the left or right of the closed column.
So for now, it would go to the left of the closed column. And then we might think about, do we want to kind of tinker with those columns that are more of states than workflow columns? I think that's a future iteration. But when I tested this out, users, it didn't confuse them at all when it added to the left. We just have to make sure there's those kind of like focus states that we've been looking at, Simon. So it draws their attention to where it's added, if that makes sense.
Oh, but the form itself, this one to the left or right, was being discussed also.
So where it actually adds to
where this thing goes.
Yeah, I played with that, and I think having it where it is right here to the right of the column makes sense. And I think what you were just saying is that in the future we might just have like kind of like a ghost column there, right?
Yeah.
Where maybe the button is there, the user hovers over that, and then it adds, and it's more contextual. And like I said, when I tested this out, it didn't confuse people that it added to the left of closed when they were, working on the form to the right of closed. But I think in the future, we could kind of play with that a little bit. I think the closed and open columns are a little weird. So we'll keep playing with those.
Yeah, they make it hard for the ghost column in terms of having a sensible spot to add it if it's always there.
They sure do. I think in the future it'd be interesting, and I mean, we're not doing this anytime soon, but if you could think about making that just a state, right? There's closed as a state, and maybe I could apply that to any column that makes sense to me, right? Or even open. So maybe workflow start is the open column. And instead of having literally an open column, you say, okay, I want workflow start to be open column, if that makes sense. But don't let that be in your brains too much. We'll get to that later. Also, I'm tired, y'all, so don't listen to me too much.
Cool. Julian.
Oh yeah, I just want to mention that so Donald, he turned on the GraphQL board list feature flag for that URL, and a certain GraphQL query is timing out on the server. That's what Charlie found out, but she's now on PTO. So if any backenders can look into that issue, we would be eternally grateful. Yeah.
Is it just this board specifically?
Yes, yeah, just the open board, that's the open list. Yeah, that's the one that's failing.
Yeah.
Actually, I've saved a snippet somewhere. Let me uncover it. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem overly complex, and it is like there should only be one epic in there, so I'm not sure why it's timing out.
Yeah, I was initially suspicious that it might be that we have this problem that keeps coming up in GitLab org where it's basically the result of a long-running issue where when issues get created, they get moved to the end of the like relative position. So every issue has a relative position on it, which is sort of like where it is in relation to other issues. And because of some wonkiness throughout history, that number hits the max size for integer. So it like errors out and then it creates timeouts, which has been the problem with board lanes loading in the past. But I doubt that this is that. So I'll have to figure out. I've got my one-on-one with Heinrich here in 10 minutes, so I'll see if he might know off the top of his head. He'll probably just have some solution on hand as he normally does. So I'll ask him about that. And thank you, Alexis and Donald.
Can we try to turn on that feature flag for some group that has more issues and epics and whatnot populated? Just do test drive the changes other than.
To see if it would work.
Yeah. Just make sure
yeah.
Just so I'm following your logic, it's broken on a small project, so you want to enable it for a bigger one.
Yes.
We can add a bunch of epics to that.
That's
group.
true. Yeah, but yeah, we need more samples and playgrounds.
So, yeah, I'm wondering if there's another like. Maybe we can turn it on the I forget what the demo group that product uses to.
The Gabe's. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll ask Gabe about it. Yeah.
Elon, you said, oh, I see the Slack. Is the Slack thread where Charlie mentioned what was happening?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So she had looked up the log on the Kibana. It was timing out. Yeah, there. So.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Works for me locally.
I will. Not our problem then.
It works for me. Done.
But yeah, I'll try to poke somebody and see if we can get it figured out in short order so that you can actually continue and do the thing you need to do.
Thank you.
Okay, and then yeah, on that note, that was off of the new plan stage group that I created, or I had created. Right now, I think I'm the only, I'm the owner of the subgroup. Flory's on there as a maintainer. I should probably add everyone on the team as a maintainer to it. But we can kind of use that to experiment, play with some of the features that we're responsible for, especially on the product planning side. I was wondering if we should move the plan stage or the plan project over to it. I don't know if it makes sense to, or if we want to start using it for some other, for more than just experimenting with. But I don't know what you all think that if we should move plan over to it, or if we should keep plan kind of just as a top level project on the GitLab org group. Probably doesn't matter. Probably can be in the group and it won't really affect anything. All right, well, I'll leave it for now, and then maybe I'll move it to the group later. But we have that group now if you all want to play around with it, and I'll add everyone as a maintainer to it. Cool. Anything else? No. Well, thanks.
I could talk about something really fast. Ha.
Yeah.
I am, keep y'all here longer. Here, I'll add it to the agenda. Just really quickly, because it's kind of fun. We just concluded some research for design management. Let me share my screen. All right. You can see me trying to review an MR right now. So this epic, I did a CMS study, so a category maturity scorecard on design management. We tapped 7 internal participants to talk through this through usertesting.com. And I don't know if y'all have access to Dovetail, but it's a really interesting tool. I did a lot of synthesis through Dovetail here. So when you click through these issues, if you want to, you can see the actionable insight tied to each of these in Dovetail. And maybe you could sign up to Dovetail, or you might have to request access. But again, it's a really cool tool we have. But within design management, we actually went up in our maturity score. So we were at minimal, we went up to viable, which is awesome. If it wasn't with only internal participants, we would have actually gone up to complete or lovable, because they really were, they're having a good time with this, with design management, with the testing process. And that was kind of part of the problem. I think that they were a little biased and they were scoring a little bit too positively on this test, but we did go up 1 level, and we also got some great insights here. And one of the ones I think is probably the most relevant is that we just need real-time updates in design management. So many users were clicking to upload or using the plugin. They're using like every way to upload designs possible. But once they uploaded it, they had to refresh the page to actually validate that the design did upload. Many times they actually clicked into a thumbnail to view the design and enlarge it, even when it was really obvious that it updated. So maybe they changed the button from gray to red, and they could literally see it on the thumbnail in design management, but they still wanted to click into it and enlarge it and view that. So there were some kind of interesting things going on there that we might want to play with, but I think that would be a great usability win if we could just have real-time updates there. And Gabe, I think that Gabe said that y'all are all in process there, and we're making some good headway, which is exciting. And then the other one is just that users aren't getting notifications that there's comments on their designs. So when they're trying to collaborate with someone, we had comments that they might have had, like, I'm saying comments a lot, but they might have had a comment from a month ago and they missed it because they didn't get a notification. So of course that makes collaboration a little harder, and it makes it harder for people to adopt this feature if it's not really working for them. So I think that, I don't know if it's a bug or what, but that seems like a little smaller thing that we might want to add as well. So there's a lot in here. Feel free to look at them whenever you want, but I think design management is on life support right now, but it's nice to know that we are now viable. So I was gonna say congrats to us, but I guess we didn't work on this too heavily, but y'all are doing a lot of work that impacted this, so congrats. And I am gonna get off the mic because again, I'm tired and sound silly, but thanks y'all.
No, that's great. What were the type of, like, what were the personas that we tested, or what were the user types that we tested? Was it like all around, or designers primarily, product managers?
Yeah, so I'll share my screen one more time. So we talked with Presley's, so product designers for this round. And you could see, this is, again, it's a cool tool, and we're just talking about boards. This kind of has that. But yeah, we talked with 7 Presleys, and they were all internal. So that, again, that's kind of what I said before, because they were internal. When we asked them questions like, hey, was this a good experience? They would be judging it based on the last time they used design management. So they might be like, wow, this has improved a lot since the last time I used it. I'm going to score it 5 out of 5. So that's why I was a little bit biased, but it was with 7 designers at GitLab, which is cool. What were you thinking, Donald? What would you think would be the ideal persona to test with?
Definitely designers. Yeah, I mean, I think designers would be the harshest on it, because I mean, it is, I think it's targeted as a design tool. But then, yeah, it'd also be interesting to see how product managers used, and engineers used it and collaborated with designers on the tool.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know, especially as we get more mature. So I think the next step here would be to test with external participants. And then, like you said, Donald, maybe we could balance it. So it's maybe 3 Presleys and then 3, I think, Parkers, and see, you know, how that works, and see if they're actually trying to solve different jobs with the feature. I don't think so. So that would be a fun experiment.
Awesome.
I had a question, if anyone knows. I think that I linked to an issue that I made recently, that the design discussions seem to just get treated like system notes, and you don't see them in the list with the regular, like, other discussions. Is that something that is planned, or is that not actually the case? Or it's like, if you click to view a design discussion, then it takes you into the designs app, and then you just see the discussions in the sidebar, but you can never see, like, the history of design discussions in the regular list of comments on an issue.
Yeah, that was actually another insight we had that I gathered from this, where one, yeah, you're not getting notified about it. And then also users found it frustrating to have to click into each design to view the comments. I think that's what you're referencing. So yeah, if they wanted to understand what was going on, they would have to click into the design and read all the comments. And you know, you kind of lose context because you're jumping around. And then for people who might be less engaged, right, they're not really, they might not even care, not care, but they're not going to be as encouraged to get the entire context and see the whole conversation. So actually one of the insights we have in here was around the idea of like a activity or discussion log. So either integrating it better with the issue discussion, or maybe design management has its own kind of thread for that as well, where you could see everything all in one place and kind of get the entire conversation, get a general idea of it, and then maybe dig in if you wanted to, because another insight we had was that users wanted to comment on the entire collection of designs. So maybe a designer has an entire flow, right? Like an entire onboarding flow with 5 screens. The only way they could really comment on that right now or talk about it is in the issue.
Yeah,
whereas,
just in the main discussion thread.
Yep. So some way to comment on the entire flow versus just going to a specific issue and maybe going into screen 1 and talking about the button or whatever. So yeah, more context, like the entire conversation, and then also having discussions on like an entire flow versus a design. So both those things came up. That's awesome that you already noted that, Simon. I'll put this, I'll just relate the actionable insights of the issue you linked.
Alrighty, well, thanks for sharing that, Alexis. That is super cool. Anyone else?
No.
Alrighty.
How are y'all doing?
Well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I just ate a giant hamburger, so I'm good. And it's 9, so I'm gonna go play some Cyberpunk in a bit. But I just want to see y'all.
Yeah, it's nice that you're joining the APAC call. I like it.
I'll drop in once in a while.
How's the snow there, Alexis?
It's actually not that bad. It's kind of disappointing. Like I wanted, because I'm stuck inside. I'm like, I want it to snow more, but it's nice for people to have to drive and all. So it's not too much. I know I'm always kind of jealous that you moved away from Chicago, Donald.
It was cold here today.
It snowed a lot here, so.
All right, we're twins then. All right, y'all. Well, have a good morning, afternoon, or whatever it is for y'all.
Well, you
Thanks.
too.
Good night.
Have a good
everybody.
evening.
Bye.
Good morning, everyone else.
Bye.